Earthquakes are some of the most destructive events on this planet, snuffing out lives by the thousands and destroying entire cities. The worst part is, we can't really predict them in advance. Or can we? The elusive oarfish is often considered an incredibly long harbinger of earthquakes, and some people see sightings of them as a sign of impending disaster. Let's find out just how much truth there is to this in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, search Cassie Michelle on YouTube. And today we're talking about the longest boy in the ocean, but more on that later.
And thank you to Brian for the art. We don't thank him enough.
Look at the art. Just gaze upon it.
Yes.
I command you to gaze upon his art.
What is that? Is that a millipede reference from Charlie the Unicorn episode 5?
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know if we can recommend that, but
I don't think we can either. Okay, yeah. Wow. That was the deepest of cuts. It was like
are you bleeding out because of how deep that cut is?
The cut was so deep there were oarfish swimming around.
It was almost like it was the first cut. Because the first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know.
Oh, I don't know that song.
Ugh, Cat Stevens.
Yeah, I don't listen to Cats. It's not my favorite musical.
I don't know if it's anyone's favorite musical. No one I care to know. But yeah, we're talking. Would you like to? You said it.
I did.
But I say it, right?
Yes, that's right.
We're talking about the giant oarfish.
Correct. Also known as the king of herrings, the ribbon fish, and the streamer fish. So it's got a Twitch stream if you want to subscribe. Thanks for the bits.
Subscribe and thanks for all the bits.
Perfect. Lots of references wrapped into one. Those aren't my nicknames. Those are what it's also called. But we're going to call it here Dark Shoals. Invisiteeth the Scaleless.
Good.
That was a really tough one because it doesn't have scales, so I wanted to go something the scaleless. We had already done the Dark Souls reference, but I couldn't find anything that rhymed with Seath. And it doesn't. It said the Wikipedia page says it has no visible teeth, so Invisiteeth the Scaleless. And the last one I've got is the Seismic sensitive serpent. But it's not a serpent. It's a serpentine something. But I couldn't think of anything that started with S that also described a fish. Well,
there's a reason that works, and we'll talk about that later.
Yep. So taxonomize this for us, Captain.
Okay, well, it's in the kingdom, love, and reside within. The kingdom Animalia.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the phylum Chordata. It has a spine because it's in the class Actinopterygii, which is bony fish.
Yep.
It's in the order Lampriformes, which is, it's like a lamprey.
It looks like lamp. It loves lamp.
Which is true. Lampreys are long boys. This is a long boy. The family is Regalicidae.
Yeah, Regalicidae. Yeah, something.
Regal Cinemas. Not a sponsor.
Not yet.
What if we were sponsored by Regal Cinemas, which probably doesn't have a lot of marketing budget right now, but we just found a weird nomenclature term. The only reason we're doing this animal is because it sort of sounds like Regal Cinemas.
Yeah, we kind of have to work a branding deal into one of our episodes, and this is it.
Yeah.
We also got sponsored by Pink Floyd several episodes ago, so that's why we had to do the Pistol Shrimp.
Yeah, buy their new album. Pink Floyd is still happening.
The light of the moon.
This the side we already know about and see.
Yeah, the side we see all the time.
The normal side of the moon. Let's talk about genus. Genus is Regalicus. Regalicus?
Sure, Regalicus.
Regalicus.
Sure. I'll take it.
Regalicus.
No.
That's HR's email chain about a woman named Gail who swears too much in the office.
And just question mark Gail Cuss.
Read the Gail Cuss situation.
She called somebody a stupid head earlier in finance, and I feel like we need to address it. Write her up.
Write her up. The species is Gleason. Jackie Gleason. Gleason?
Glesney?
Glesney?
Bless you.
Glesney. Glesney? Bless you. So that makes the binomial name Regalicus Glesney.
I feel very blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
Keep hashtags out of here.
This is an internet show.
No, it's a podcast. Since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for, well, I had to be a little bit creative here. Because it's fish, and we all know what fish swim in. Also, I couldn't find
The water.
Translation for Glesney. So, we're gonna call this section Languid Languages, which is the second fallback, the bronze tier, if the other options are not available. And so, which one of the following, Joe, is the word or the phrase for king of herrings? This is going to be from various languages and backgrounds. And the king of herrings is the giant oarfish's nickname. And so go ahead and guess which one of these means king of herrings. Is it A, Regalicus? Is it B, Aracala? Is it C, Siliconingus? Or is it D, Oceanodromus?
Oh, give me the second two, the middle two, again.
Aracala, Siliconingus.
I mean, king of fish, Regalicus.
King of
Regal.
herrings.
Oh yeah, king of herrings. Regalicus sounds like king. That third one is striking my fancy. What is it again?
Siliconingus.
What's the second one again?
Aracala.
I'm going with that one, Aracala.
So B, Aracala, that's your final answer?
Yes.
Incorrect. You should have gone with your fancy. The answer is Siliconingus.
Silicon.
It's not, it's Silikunningas. It's Finnish. So that's why it doesn't really conform to our Latin and Greek preconceived notions of prefixes and suffixes and things like that. Aracala is Finnish for oarfish. Literally, oar and fish. Aracala. And Regalicus is the genus, and that just means royal, and that's Latin. And then Oceanodromus just means a fish that migrates.
Regalicus signifies belonging to a king.
Yeah, royal.
And the epithet Gleasney from Gleasnace from the name of a farm not far from Norway's second largest Bergen, city of Bergen, where the type specimen was found.
Yeah, I couldn't really turn that into a nitty-gritty nomenclature, where one of the options was royal random town in Finland or whatever, or Sweden.
belonging to a king farm. Specific farm. Do you want to hear a description?
I do. I would like that.
The oarfish is a long, slender, bony fish with a body shape like a flat tube. In other words, it's wide along its y-axis up and down instead of along its x-axis like most bony fish. Most bony fish are like this, except for like flounders, which are wider along their x-axis.
It's a ribbon. It's a ribbon fish.
They often come in a pale bluish gray color with a red dorsal fin like a Roman centurion that runs the length of its body. Its head comes to a rounded, flat side like a mahi-mahi's face almost. And it has an upside-down U-shaped frowny face mouth.
Like kind of grumpy, but also aghast.
Now, everyone make that face, the fish upside grumpy face, upside down U, right now. Now, think about the drivers next to you that think you're a weirdo.
This person is so upset.
They also have a long crest that comes out of the top of their heads, so that the ribbon dorsal fin is really long right at the part that's the top of their head. And two pelvic fins, which are also really long and thin, come down, and these pelvic fins are really close to their heads, so the fish is mostly tail. So if you look at a picture and you see the really long parts that go straight down, that's their pelvic fin, which is usually at the back of a fish.
That's like the end of the fish part. And then the rest of it is tail.
Yeah.
All their organs are up there as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is just a tail.
What's it for then? One must ask. But speaking of long and size, we have to relate the animal size in terms that are great.
You still haven't come
I
up with
use the
something
word
relatable?
relate. Yeah.
Relate the relatable terms in relatable ways.
So welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We do have a new measure up. We don't.
No.
We do not.
Oh, what?
Rapid hope lost.
Oh my goodness, that was
Screaming
the bait and
infidelities. We don't, but that means we get to hear from an animal, and Carlos has to guess what it is. He's forced to.
I have to, yes.
By the laws.
It's in my contract.
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show. Okay.
I don't like it.
Is that A, a Muscovy duck? Is it B, a bean goose, a delightfully named fowl? Or is it C, a mute swan? Or D, a magpie goose?
A magpie? I thought a magpie was something entirely different.
Magpie is a bird, but it's not a goose, usually.
I guess it's like eagle owl. It's just taking two different birds and putting them together, but it really is the last thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be ironic if it was the mute swan. I have no idea. I'm going to go with mute swan just because I kind of hope that's the answer.
Yeah, so there's trumpeter swans, but there's also just a muted trumpet swan. Final answer?
Yep.
The correct answer is Muscovy duck.
So did you just take that video outside of your house?
I could have, but I did not.
They even sound grating.
Hissing. Although that's a sound that geese and swans can make too. The hissing sound.
Yeah, I've traded the Muscovy ducks of South Florida for the Canadian much larger and much more aggressive Canadian geese of here in Jacksonville, and they're louder too.
We're getting a lot of Egyptian geese, which also make a lot of, but their sounds are mostly honks. But let's talk length. They're generally around 8 meters or 26 feet, but they may be as much as 11 meters and 36 feet, though that's unconfirmed. So we're going with the upper end of average for confirmed, so that's 26 feet, 8 meters.
It's a long fish. That's like
long fish.
That's like a whale shark.
How many oarfish go into the longest oars on the Tessera Contraries, which is a Greek catamaran galley from the Hellenistic period?
Okay.
Well, here's a hint.
Because it has oars.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Here's a hint. The Tessera Contraries was built by Ptolemy IV. The ship was reportedly so large that it was impractical and existed only as a prestige vehicle.
Gotta love those ancient prestige vehicles. Then I'm gonna say 1. Because it's a 26-foot oar. No. Yeah, I'll say 1.
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
The correct answer is 2.1.
50-foot oar. How does that thing not snap in half?
Yeah, 40. It's 38 cubits, or 47 feet and 17 meters.
That's when you say it's in cubits, then I know that it's old.
So let's talk about weight. But first, last time we did measure up, there was a small uprising. There was just a little coup, and as a benevolent but just president, we're going to have some sort of retribution, some sort of.
I think president is
justice. Elected as the official listener's favorite part of the show, elect.
Despot, maybe that works.
Okay.
The coup d'etat was unsuccessful. He's on to us.
No, we'll just get through it.
We tried to blow up Parliament, and now look where we are.
Some just desserts.
Remember the 16th of March. It doesn't rhyme, but you know.
So this is for Nora. This measure up. So the maximum recorded weight for an oarfish was 270 kilograms or 600 pounds. How many oarfish go into the weight of the water of the ocean?
You don't know that.
I know what they've estimated it to be.
I wish it was.
So here's a hint.
I wish it was how many oarfish go into the weight of the band OAR and all their band equipment.
It isn't. Here's a hint. A gallon of water is around 8.3 pounds or 3.7 kilograms. And there are more than 1 million gallons of water in the ocean.
I imagine there's more than 1 million.
Possibly much more.
Are you you doing the low anchor for me? Trying to get me to say 1.5 million because you started so low? Goodness, I know it's not 1 million. It's probably in the billions, if not trillions. I feel like 1 trillion it's a safe landing spot here. So I guess 8 trillion gallons divided by 600. I don't have a calculator that can make this happen. So we're going to work with...
Use the internet. I mean, just Google the equation.
My guess is 13 billion oarfish weights go into the weight of the water in the ocean.
13 billion oarfish.
Yes.
Final answer.
Uh-huh.
Well, there are 352 quintillion gallons in the ocean. The correct answer is 4 quintillion, 869 quadrillion, 333 trillion, 333 billion, 333 million, 333,000.
My brain has just turned off.
333.
Oh my goodness.
So that's quite a large number.
Nora, I appreciate what you were doing, but look what you've done. Look what you've wrought.
Well, see, that's it. That's it. Justice has been served. Okay? And now we can move on to fast facts.
That was a gross overuse of the state's monopoly on violence.
Numbers past 1 trillion are violence.
Yes, violence to my psyche and emotional and mental well-being.
Are you prepared for fast facts now?
Yeah, yep.
Alrighty, so as with many animals that live in the pelagic zone in the ocean, the giant oarfish is very elusive. Adding to its off-the-grid nature, it also migrates constantly, following food sources. So for that reason, we don't know much about their behavior in the wild. The first reliable video of an oarfish came in 2010, which was spotted in the Gulf of Mexico. So pretty, it's elusive when it takes, the entire population,
the entire history of humankind,
having a video camera in their pocket for us to get it. So oarfish have no teeth, so that nickname you gave it earlier makes sense in 2 ways. What'd you say, like Invisa-tooth or something?
Like, Invisa-teeth is scaleless. It's a play on teeth is scaleless, but you can also go Invisalign.
But Invisa-teeth, it has no teeth. Instead, it has 4 to 50 gill rakers, which are not gills, like as in the breathing things. Instead, they're like these bristly, long thingies that are used for suspension feeding. Kind of like, similar to baleen, but not quite.
It's not a filtering process.
It's like it looks like little toothbrushes with bristles on all the sides. So it might. I don't know if I don't know if it's for filtering or if it's just like catching little.
It's ironic.
Little things.
It has a mouth full of toothbrushes, but no teeth.
That's irony.
No teeth to brush them with. Toothbrushes everywhere, but not a tooth
so it could
to
just
brush.
Grind its brill things, and it's brushing itself. Gill rakers.
Gill raker sounds like the name of some legendary warrior or warrior class. It's like, oh, they're members of the gill rakers.
A style of ship, I feel like. A gill raker.
Yeah.
Like a specific, like a tugboat. We don't need a tugboat for this. We need a gill raker. That's what we need.
It's true. It's lithe, fast, and can sail against the wind.
Yeah.
That's what a gill raker does.
So, oarfish have been seen floating vertically with its tail down, and we don't know why they do this, though it may have something to do with how they feed, which they feed on krill primarily, which is what a fish without teeth would want to do. But they also eat other small fish and squid when they have a chance. Eggs are laid in the open water, and they float near the surface until they hatch. The eggs are tiny. These guys grow to be really long, but their eggs are only 2.5 millimeters or 0.1 inches in diameter.
Just goes to show, if you have faith the size of an oarfish egg, it can blossom into a 26-foot long sea monster.
The longest fish in the ocean. I didn't mention that, but they are the longest fish in the ocean.
Longest bony fish.
Yes.
Because the longest fish in the ocean would be
the whale shark?
Whale shark, and that's cartilaginous.
Cartilaginous. Oarfish aren't fished commercially, but they can be caught as bycatch, which is accidental catch. But because of their long shape, and this ties into another thing you said, because of their long shape, it's thought that they are the reason why people report sea serpents.
Yeah, I can totally see that. If manatees were mermaids, then this is definitely sea serpents. Especially it's Jormungandr. It's the world serpent.
That thing's like 20 feet. It must go around the entire world.
Must circle the globe, Ouroboros style. All right, is that it for the general info?
That's all I got.
Well, it's a good segue, because my major fact is about mythologies. So, yeah, people initially thought this was thought it was a sea serpent, but the mythology of the oarfish goes deeper than that, particularly in Japanese mythology. In fact, fish in general are prominent in Japanese mythology, and specifically their earthquake lore. And you can't really have a solid ancient mythology without a robust helping of earthquake lore, to be honest. I mean, what are you even doing if you don't have earthquake lore? You have to be able to explain these events. So in Japan, earthquakes are said to be caused by a country-sized catfish. Sorry, catfish demon named Namazu. It lives under Japan, and whenever he shakes his tail, the earthquake shakes the islands. Now, if you type in Namazu into Google, you're going to get a lot of a small, adorable Final Fantasy character. That's not the Namazu that folklore is using. There are a couple cool pictures of this like giant fish that kind of makes up the tectonic plates under Japan, but don't be fooled by this doofy bell-wearing fish thing from Final Fantasy.
I see both.
So yeah, fish play a prominent role in Japanese mythology. Oarfish are thought to be the messengers of Ryujin, the Japanese equivalent of Poseidon or Neptune, the dragon god of the ocean. And since they live so deep, oarfish are rarely seen by people, like you said, but they are seen in large quantities, or large-ish quantities. They'll go a long time without anybody seeing them, and then suddenly a bunch of them will show up. And when this happens, they were considered to be the harbingers of earthquakes, sent by King Ryujin to warn people of these natural disasters, which is why I called them seismic sensitive serpents. And this was widely held in Japan even as late as 1855, when Tokyo was demolished by a massive earthquake just after several oarfish were caught as bycatch in fishermen's nets. So they're like, oh, we never see these, dragon messengers, and suddenly we see a bunch of them, and then now we have earthquake messengers. Oarfish equals earthquake. So, like most ancient mythologies, the idea of both a catfish making earthquakes and the oarfish being the harbinger of those earthquakes, it fell into obscurity once we got into the 19th century and industrialization took place and all that stuff. But that was fine all the way up until about a dozen oarfish washed up on Japan's shores in 2010. And then in 2011, we had the devastating earthquake off of the coast of Fukushima. Killed almost 20,000 people and caused 3 nuclear reactor meltdowns. So this revived the myth. Not that they're the messengers of some ocean deity, but that they are like canaries in the coal mine when it comes to earthquakes. So the question is, are they sensing tectonic movement or magnetic changes? And are they trying to swim away from the ocean floor? Can we use the appearance of oarfish either as bycatch or on the shores to predict and prepare for natural disasters like earthquakes? And the answer is no. There's no scientific, believable cause for these correlations outside of it just being coincidence. But they do get stranded in waves. So you won't see any for a long time, for years, and then suddenly, a dozen will wash up on shore, and we'll get a new outcropping of videos and pictures. So scientists did decide to study this because there's got to be something to this. And while nothing is absolutely conclusive, there was a study in 2018 that showed a correlation between oarfish strandings and El Nino years. So if you don't know what the El Nino is, it's a far-reaching weather phenomenon that changes up the ecosystem. I won't go into detail, but it's a large weather phenomenon, for lack of a better term, that can change currents, it can change storms, cause more storms, cause different levels of air pressure, and it's a pretty big thing that happens every once in a while. So
it's named after baby Jesus.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
The child.
I guess. But isn't that also the name of like isn't the fastest race car in the world called El Nino too?
It's either named after baby Jesus or baby Yoda, and baby Yoda came way after El Ninos.
I thought I guess. I mean, it makes sense if since it's in Spanish, and most Spanish-speaking countries are Catholic, so if something's called El Nino in a Spanish-speaking country, you know exactly who they're talking about. That's odd because it's oftentimes very destructive, and can sometimes result in the extinction of whole species. But one of the things that happens is that the surface water goes up several degrees in temperature during an El Nino year. So plankton and krill naturally go toward warmer water, and that would bring the oarfish into warmer water, or surface water that's closer to the surface. And I don't know if we didn't mention this, but the way that the oarfish swims, it doesn't undulate like you would think, like a sea snake would, like kind of moving its head back and forth and its whole body doing this S shape to move forward. It actually uses its dorsal fin to move forward. So it just propels itself using what's called an amiform mode of swimming. So it just kind of it undulates just the top part of its fin, and that keeps it going. That keeps it going forward. So it's basically it's either swimming vertically, like you said, when it's feeding, or it's just swimming straight. But it's not very fast or strong, and it can't
just gliding forward magically, kind of like Princess Leia in the Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, that. So when it gets up into, when the oarfish chases it, and since it's migratory, it goes where the prey goes. So if the prey goes into warmer, shallower, stronger currents, then the oarfish will go there, and it will often get exhausted because it's only using its dorsal fin, and won't be able to get back down, and will find itself beached or caught up in a fisherman's net or something like that. So that's the prevailing theory for why there are a lot of oarfish sightings and strandings during El Nino years. Now, if we can find a correlation between El Nino years and earthquakes, then maybe we're onto something. But we're still very far from the idea that they're messengers of the dragon god. And that's all I got.
That's sad. I kind of wish there were something to the folklore.
It can't be that easy.
Well, I mean, it could. I could see a world where like they're very sensitive to like vibrations, and they can tell when tectonic plates are about to scrape.
Yeah, but like a year in advance?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
By the time you saw an oarfish that was fleeing an earthquake, you have already encountered the earthquake.
Other fish, apparently, like slender ribbon fish, are also implicated in earthquakes.
They're implicated. They're
All you could tell I'm on Google Scholar by the words I'm saying. Although the catalog might not include all of the events of deep sea fish appearances around Japan because of a lack of whole coverage observation. So it's kind of like confirmation bias.
yeah, which is what a lot of people were doing. They retroactively attributed the appearance of oarfish the year before the Fukushima earthquake to the actual earthquake, which I imagine they didn't think too much about it in 2010 before the earthquake.
It's kind of like when you learn a word and then you start hearing that word, or when you buy a car and you start seeing that car.
Yeah, that's called Baader-Meinhof syndrome. I do know that offhand.
Nice.
It's where you start, your brain starts noticing things that you've taken an interest in when they were there all along. I remember for a while I thought that I thought the vans were no longer really a thing that people bought anymore, and I was like, I guess people don't really buy, like, they don't make new vans anymore. And then I started shopping for a van, and now I see them everywhere.
Yeah, Honda Odysseys are everywhere still.
Yeah, it's a great car, except for
Dodge Caravan.
It just absolutely stops working on you in the middle of the night.
Yeah, when they're like 10 years old, 15 years old.
No, it's 9. It is 10 years old. All right, that's all I got for the Oarfish. You got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, for you out there in Podcastia, putz along in the depths. Don't get caught in stray nets. And warn humans of impending natural disasters like the Oarfish here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, thanks for listening to the episode. Just a few quick things. As always, reviews and social media engagement are greatly appreciated, but recommending the podcast to friends is the best way to help us grow. If you'd like some LDT flavored merch, check out teespring.com/stores/taxonomy-tees. That's it. Thanks for listening all the way to the end.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
I like Bean Goose. That's gonna be my next gamer tag if I ever have to choose another one. If they ever bring back AIM, I'm gonna make my AOL Instant Messenger name Bean Goose.
You should just start playing World of Warcraft and be Bean Goose. It's like, Bean Goose is the DPS tank.